So I'm going to show you guys how to make 3 different games in Excel, and these games are made with just conditional formatting. We're not going to be using any coding here, so they're fairly simple. The first game is a wordle game, so we can guess words and it will tell us if we guessed correct letters, if the letters are in the right spot. So it will turn yellow if we guessed a letter and green if we guessed the letter in the correct spot. We also have a trivia game, which is fairly simple. It just has a question and then we can fill in the answer. It will mark it green if it's correct, and it will leave it blank if it's incorrect. And then the last one is sudoku. And if we have numbers that are in the same box, it'll mark red, or if they're in the same row, it'll mark red. So we can see as we go if we do something incorrect. So first let's start with a new blank document. And let's first start with Wordle. We can rename our sheet down here by right-clicking the tab, click rename, and go ahead and type the name of the game. This is going to be a 5-letter Wordle. First I'm going to merge and center, put my title up here. So for this we can allow 6 guesses. So I'm going to select 6 rows. I'm going to make the height 50 pixels. And for the columns, I'm also going to make that 50 pixels. So I'll just click and drag across the columns and drag until it says 50 pixels. Now we can make the title a little bigger as well if you would like. I'm going to bold the title, and let's also put some borders on there so it really stands out. So I'm going to click on this drop down for borders, choose a line color, and we're just going to put all borders on there. Okay, great. So there, it's all set up. Now all I need to do is decide on my word and to start conditional formatting. So I just like to pick my word right off the bat, put it up here, and that will help me guide my conditional formatting. So let's do, maybe I'll do beard. First I'm going to mark green in this entire column here. I'm going to mark green if you guess the letter B in this column. So I'm going to click on conditional formatting, highlight cells rule, a text that contains B, and we're going to just fill it with green. So anything in this column that's B is going to turn green. And we'll just do the same thing with each of these. So we'll do E, fill it with green. We'll do A, fill it with green, and so on. Now I want to mark yellow if you guess a letter, but it's not necessarily in the correct area. So for example, if we were to guess draws, I would want the D and the R to be marked yellow, and then the W and the S to be blank because there's no W or S in these. So what we need to do is select everything but the column that or the letter that we're working with. So everything but B, I'm going to select, and we're going to say highlight cells. If it contains B, we're going to mark it yellow. So every other column, if it's B, is going to turn yellow. And then do the same thing here. So I'm going to select column B. I'm pressing and holding Control or Command if you have a Mac to select multiple cells that are separate from each other. And now we have E that we're working with. So highlight cells. If it contains E, we're going to mark it yellow. And then same thing here. Press and hold Control. And we're going to mark these ones yellow. Oh, with A. Okay, and you know you did it right if you guess some letters here and it starts marking them correctly. So you can keep trying some letters So we could go Rager, and it marks those letters. So now you can just delete everything and your game is complete. Let's do trivia. So we're going to right click, rename trivia. This one works very similarly. So we can place our question in our first column. So just come up with a trivia question. What language is spoken in Panama? And then the answer would be, Spanish. Now we want it to mark green if we guess Spanish. So we can just click on this one single cell. We're going to add conditional formatting, a text that contains Spanish, and then fill it with green. So it marks it green. And if we guess any other language, it will just leave it with no color. So you'll just keep going, adding questions and marking those individual cells. All right, the last game we're going to be doing is Sudoku. And the Sudoku is a 9x9 grid. So I'm just going to select 2 through 10, and we can make this 50 pixels tall. And we're also going to mark our columns and do those 50. I recommend adding borders so we can really see the outline of our Sudoku board. And then on each square, you're going to want to do a little bit thicker borders. So we could do thick box border on each of those squares as well. So now that our Sudoku board is set up, from here you can go ahead and start putting some numbers in. But the tricky thing about Sudoku is coming up with a board that has a viable solution. You'll want to fill out the entire board first and then go back and delete cells. When I made my Sudoku board, I just looked up a board and copied it. So you can do it how you want, but the idea here is that if we have repeat numbers in a row or in a box, in a 9x9 box, then it's going to mark red. So let's first format these so they're centered, the numbers are centered. I'll make them a little bigger so you can see them. What we want to do is we want to do conditional formatting, and we're going to highlight cells with duplicate values. But we need to select each row individually and each box individually. So I'm first going to start with that first row. We're going to do duplicate values and fill it with red. Same thing here. We'll do highlight cells, duplicate values, mark it in red. And this will get a little tedious here, but you're going to have to select every single row, every single column. Luckily the red is the default, so it goes pretty quick. And it's only going to mark duplicate values within that selection. And then you're going to have to go in and do the rows as well. And then the last thing you need to do is each little box. So once again, there can't be duplicate numbers in each box, so we're going to select those as well. So now we should be able to test it out. Go ahead and put some duplicates in and see if it marks it red. It should mark both numbers. And then of course, if you can go without those duplicates, then it should keep it just blank. So then you can go ahead and fill in your Sudoku board. I would complete the puzzle first and then delete some. And those are the 3 games you can make with conditional formatting.